Hello, brothers and sisters. After establishing Peter as the rock of his church, Jesus then begins to speak to his disciples about his passion. Along the path to Jerusalem, he openly explains to his friends what awaits him in the city of David, where he will suffer greatly from the elders, the chief priests, and be killed, and on the third day be raised. But these words aren't understood because the disciples have a faith that is immature at this time and is still closely tied to the consciousness of this world. They think that the Messiah will bring about an earthly victory, which does not allow for the language of the cross. At the prospect that Jesus may fail and die on the cross, that would ruin their understanding of the Messiah's ultimate victory. And this is the response of Peter, whom Jesus just made the head of the church. Peter's going to respond to this. And he takes the teacher aside. He gets in Jesus's face and he says to him, "God forbid, Lord, that this should ever happen to you." Peter believes in Jesus. He wants to follow him, but he just can't accept that the way to life comes through dying, especially on the cross. Jesus then rebukes Peter with harsh words that are dramatic and to the point. "Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not on the side of God, but of men." The man whom Jesus had earlier called Rock, he now gives him another name, Satan. Jesus considers Peter a hindrance in escaping the cross, which would have meant avoiding the Father's will. The Father has given his Son a mission to bring about the salvation of the world, which can only be done through his passion. For this reason, Jesus responds to Peter in those very harsh terms. Yet notice that he doesn't take back what he said about Peter being rock. Jesus continues to believe in Peter. He will form him. Jesus tells Peter that he does not believe in him. If he doesn't believe in him as the suffering servant who will bring life to the world, then he cannot lead the church. Indeed, he will be an obstacle, a stumbling stone to his path. The only way that Peter will become a rock is to walk through this conflict with Jesus. At this point in Matthew's gospel, the teacher turns to those who are following him and clearly presents the path to follow. "Whoever wishes to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." Just as Peter resisted, the temptation today, too, is that of wanting to follow Jesus, but without the cross. We want to follow Jesus, but on our terms, not his. How can we make sense of this stubborn, cruciform pattern of Christianity? We can do so if we remember that the way of Jesus is based upon God's very nature, which is love, and that there cannot be true discipleship without pouring oneself into others, by giving one's life away through sharing our gifts, our talents, and our time. We cannot allow ourselves to be absorbed by the vision of this world, but to be aware of the need and effort for us to walk against the current of our self-absorbed culture. Jesus completes his conditions of discipleship by proclaiming, "Whoever would save his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life for my sake will find it." This does not mean a superficial cosmetic change, but a radical conversion, a reversal of a mentality and values where life is self-referential, and to move from that to where Jesus is the center of my life with no equivocation. And the only way we can follow Jesus is to take up our own cross. And it's not just a matter of patiently enduring the daily irritants and tribulations, but of bearing with faith and responsibility that part of our journey which entails suffering. That the struggle against evil and doing the Father's will entails. Whatever it takes to do the Father's will, we will embrace that. And that will entail suffering. The life of a Christian is hard because it is a nitty-gritty fight against evil, which seeks to destroy us in a relationship with God, each other, and creation. Thus, the task of taking up one's cross becomes participating with Christ in the salvation of the world. That is Christ's mission, and as members of his mystical body, the church, that is our mission as well. The cross, which hangs on our wall at home, or we wear around our neck, is a sign that we wish to be united with Christ in lovingly serving our brothers and sisters, especially those who are most vulnerable and fragile. The cross is a holy sign of God's love. It is a sign of Jesus's sacrifice. And when we make the sign of the cross or wear it on our body, we are publicly saying that we identify with Christ crucified, the suffering servant, and that we will follow his way of generous self-giving. If we deny ourselves, our false self, if we take up our cross and follow Jesus, we will experience authentic joy, which is the most infallible sign of God's presence. So may the Blessed Virgin Mary, who was united with her Son at Mount Calvary, may she help us not to retreat in the face of trials and suffering that witnessing to the gospel entails. Amen.